Kempek had gathered his herd around him and headed for the ancient magic portal. Bazcog told him that it was important to get the lizard's attention and to offer an alliance with the herd. Kempek had his own agenda. He would get the ancients' attention, defeat them in battle, and use the strength of an alliance with him to overthrow Bazcog and take the herds for himself.
Soothsayer, we make camp here. The ancients should be through the portal soon. I want them to see our might as soon as they enter,
Kempek yelled as the small soothsayer bowed in respect to the large alpha bull.
But master, Bazcog told us to surprise them. His orders were... I care not for his orders, Kempek bellowed, picking up the small beast. You serve me. We meet them up front. Prepare for their arrival.
He threw the soothsayer down and walked over to his minotaur entourage. The soothsayer shook his head and followed the bull's orders, knowing that this would not end well. Alright, so tonight we've got a new narrative battle report for you guys. It is my Saurian Ancients versus the Beast Herds in a 4,000 point battle with the Capture the Flag scenario. Okay, so starting on the Beast Herd left here, we have a 10-man unit of the Archer basic guys skirmished, hiding in the water there. Then we've got a unit of 5 Minotaurs with full command and extra hand weapon. The black model there is Kempek, the Alpha Bull. I don't remember exactly what he's got. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, he's basically set up with a 2-up armor save, the Obsidian Sword, and the Crown of Horns thing that gives the automatic rerolls. Then there is the Beast, the Wildhorn unit with Longhorn unit with great weapons. Looks like there's about 30 of them. They've got full command in the Banner of Discipline. Hanging out there is his Shaman, who is a 3 spells to Druidism. Next is a Wildhorn unit. Looks to be about 16 strong. They have paired weapons, thrown weapons, and hanging out with them is his Beast Chieftain, which is the Battle Standard Bearer and the Greater Totem Bearer. Then he has the Gortak. In the forest, he's got 5 Centaurs, and they are playing Drunk. And then there is another unit of Wildhorns. Actually, this is the 16-mana unit of Wildhorns. The other one was 20-man. This one also has paired weapons and throwing weapons, but there's nothing else special about them. Okay, so on my side, I deployed over here in the corner first because I was worried he was going to get some ambushers behind me. But once I saw that he wasn't using ambushers this game, I dropped all my chaff over on this side. So we have a 2-man unit of Salamanders. Next to that is a 2-man unit of Snake Swarms. And then another 2-man unit of Snake Swarms right behind that. Behind them is a firstborn on a raptor. He is basically all defensively kitted out. He's a 1-up armor save with the Dawnstone. Next to all of that is my Taurosaur with the Great Bow. Hopefully I'll get some shots off on some Minotaurs and thin them down. Behind that is my General, my firstborn Warlord on an Alpha Carnosaur. He has the Spear of the Stampede and the Egg of the Quetzal. So the idea is he's going to hit like a truck and hopefully get rid of one of these units just by tearing them the hell apart. Then I have my 32-man unit of Saurus Warriors with spears, shields, full command, and the Serpent upgrade. So they are fighting in like 4 or 5 ranks. Next to that, I have a unit of 5 Caimans with full command. Behind that is my bunker of skink braves with just a musician, and hanging out with them is my skink priest who has 3 spells to druidism and is carrying the jade staff. So, uh, hopefully, enough magic to do what I need to do here. All right, so yeah, I got first turn because I dropped everything here in the corner before he could drop anything. Um, my whole plan at this point is to draw out those frenzied units. He's got 2 big frenzied units I'm worried about, the Gortak and, of course, the Minotaurs. I think I've got enough chaff here to pretty much do that. Um, the only thing I've got to worry about is his Centaur chiefs, or his Centaur guys, coming in and clearing out the chaff before they're ready. So that's my first target uh, for magicking off the board, and if I can get some bow shots off on the Minotaurs, that's pretty awesome too. But I pretty much spread out here to bring that chaff up, and I'd like to get some shots off with the Salamanders, but I'm going to use them as chaff if I need to as well. During my magic phase, I get the Oaken Throne off on the with my caster, and that was pretty much it. So I get during the shooting, I do get a bow shot off on a Minotaur, get lucky, and take one off the board before they even get to go. So definitely a move in the right direction. So the Beast Herd's turn 1. He goes in and moves up pretty good here on the right. Decides to go ahead and have the Minotaurs hold the wall so that I take some more penalties for shooting. And he moves up here. He brings up the Centaurs to chaff up my big unit and the Caimans, which is good for me because it A, brings him into range of some magic, and B, means that he hasn't quite realized what my plan is for the chaff. Otherwise, he would have gone and blocked those up. So I'm still thinking that this is looking good for what I want to accomplish. He gets off nothing else. He's got no shooting to speak of and no magic within range. So I go first, or I go next, and turn 2 starts off with the Caimans going hunting for wild horns. I've got, with no support, no characters in this unit, I've got this in the bag, not worried about it at all. And then I can kill them and reform, and I'm basically in his flank, which is fantastic. And here is where I start springing uh, the chaff trap. I've got it set up so that if he hits the Gortak with, or hits the swarms with the Gortak, he's going to hit them, obviously destroy them, and be forced to overrun. And unless he rolls a 12 on his overrun, which would let him hit my spearmen, he's going to be out there in the middle of nowhere, and the spearmen are going to be able to countercharge. Same thing set up with the Minotaurs. They're going to hit those snake swarms, and when they overrun, they're going to be right in the middle of the characters being able to charge the hell out of them. And I can, kind of depending upon how things go, I can send the Taurosaur either one as I need it. The other good thing about this is I was able to maneuver the salamanders so they are right at range to be able to throw some fire at the Vestigor, or the Longhorn unit, and hopefully peel some of those guys off. That's a lot of ranks, so I'll get a lot of hits on that. And then to make matters worse, I throw up healing waters on my spearman blocks, so they've got a 4-up regeneration at this point. And then I Master of Earth and kill 3 of the 5 centaurs, but they're drunk, so they're immune to psych and aren't going anywhere. Then over here, I go to throw fire from the salamanders and throw 2 1s, meaning that the salamander unit takes 2 wounds. Fantastic. But everything else so far is going my way, so I really can't complain about that too much. Over here, the Caimans just absolutely murder. The Wild Horns with their Strength 3 can't really do much. He gets one wound through before I kill better than about three-quarters of the unit. They obviously break. I choose not to pursue because I want to have the Caimans here ready to support my main army when all of these fights start. So Beast Herd's turn two. The Minotaurs get pissed off at lizard or at snakes and go charging just like I wanted. The Gordak does the same thing, and he decides to go ahead and set. I think he sees what I'm doing here if he doesn't see what I'm doing with the Minotaurs. And he realizes that he's going to need more support, so he sends his BSB unit in as well. I'm thinking this is still okay because at the way he's set up right now, if they kill the swarms and he overruns, the Gortak is going to bounce off of the centaurs, and the Wild Horde unit with his BSB is going to go forward towards my Saurus, and I still think I've got that fight. I'm putting out so many strength 4 hits. I'm going to probably beat them. But I'm thinking at this point he's shielding his centaurs. He also rallies here with these wild horns and turns around to face my flank. But I'll be honest, even in the flank, I'm not afraid of the 5, 6 wild horns that are left. And then he does something that confuses me. I thought he was going to use the centaurs to shield his Gortak from having to overrun, but instead he runs them back here to chaff up the Caimans, which is not a terrible idea, except he's chaffing them for where the fight is now. He's not chaffing them for where it's likely going to end up, and that's going to be a problem. Because if they kill and overrun, I've still essentially got clear charge lanes depending upon how far the Gortek has to overrun. And then he pushes up here in the center with his Longhorn unit. Probably not enough. If I were him, I probably would have pushed up a little farther so that if the Minotaurs had overrun, they would bounce off of them and not run into the trap they're about to run into. But I honestly don't think my opponent realizes how much killing power I have in the Alpha Carnosaur unit. I don't know if he knows about the D3 wounds that it does, that sort of thing. So I think he may be just relying on the Minotaurs to be scary enough for me not to mix it up. And then he brings up his archers here on this side. Of course, magic accomplishes nothing. I managed to hold him off. And shooting, he tries to shoot the salamanders, I think, and doesn't get anything. But combat goes on. Obviously, the Gortak and the Wild Horns murder the swarms. They actually don't kill them to a man, and I think I get a poison wound off on the Gortak with the snake swarms. So, but they kill, overrun, and this is exactly where I wanted them. I've got a perfect flank charge into the Gortak with the Caimans now, and I can go into anything I want with the Spear Saurus. And over here, again, the Minotaurs just absolutely brutalize the snakes, but are in a terrible position right now. And not only are they going to get just absolutely beat in the face, but they've completely blocked up the Longhorns from getting into anything right now. And we go into my turn 3, and this is, I think, where my opponent absolutely realizes that this was a bad way to go. I succeed every charge. I throw the Spearman into his big brick of Wild Horns. I get the Caimans into the side of the Gortak. I get my General and the Cowboy and the Salamanders into the flank of the Minotaurs, and I send the Taurosaur into the front of the Minotaurs, and it's going to get messy. And I move over here just in case things go bad and he does kill my Saurus block. He's not going to overrun into my wizard bunker. Then I get off Master of Earth, which finishes off the last centaurs. And over here it's bad. The Caimans come in. They lose one of their number and a couple of wounds to the gore attack, but end up totally murdering him and overrunning into the flank of the Wild Horns. And then they just absolutely go apeshit. I only lose 2 Saurus Spear Warriors. I beat the unit bad, and he ends up breaking. And he ended up running, like, I'm not sure if the angle on this is right, but he ended up running, like, catty corner away from the Spear Saurus, and I had the Spear Saurus hold and reform, and the Caimans ended up chasing and catching and ended up where they are. And then over here, it was bad. I ended up killing, just with impact hits, killing the Minotaurs before they got to swing. Does that sound right? Yeah, it was pretty bad. There might have been one left by the time they got to go. He threw his attacks forward to try and take out the Taurosaur, and did 4 wounds to it, but it just wasn't enough. I unloaded, ended up killing pretty much everything except for the Alpha Bull, and then the Alpha Carnosaur got to go and snuck through 2 wounds, which D3'd up to murdering him. So they killed everything all by themselves and turned to reform here. And it's at this point that my opponent realized that he has taken basically nothing of mine other than chaff, and he's facing the entire might of my army against 1 unit, pretty much, and went ahead and surrendered. Kempek fell to his knees before the might of the Saurian forces. He could barely believe that his army was destroyed so completely in such a short time. He looked around at the approaching Saurians and saw no mercy in their cold alien eyes. As the leader of the force approached him, it stopped and cocked its head, as if it were hearing a voice that Kempek could not. All of a sudden, the Saurian forces parted, and Kempek saw the ancient portal activate, and the personal guard of Sekalath appeared and marched towards the fallen Alpha Bull. Soon Kempek's eyes met those of the ancient Quaddalord, who regarded him for a moment, and then spoke directly into his mind. Why? Kempek shook uncontrollably and began to speak quickly. My Lord Bazcog commanded us to attack you, to show our strength. He wished to form an alliance with you to fight the elves and the horsemen. If Bazcog wishes to speak to me, he should come himself. I will remedy this. And then Sekaloth reached out with his great power and grabbed Bazcog, pulling the Beast Lord through the ether to stand before him. Who dares? Bazcog yelled before settling his eyes on Sekaloth. I do, the Quaddle answered. This one says you commanded his attack to prove a point. Bazcog realized what danger he was in, and so answered truthfully. I did. I wish to show you the strength of the herd and the benefits of alliance. Your point has been made, Sekaloth replied, drawing Bazcog's attention to the decimated army of beasts. Now I shall prove a point. Sekaloth pointed at Kempek, who screamed as the magic of the Quaddle began to boil the Minotaur's blood in his body. As Bazcog watched, the mighty Minotaur was reduced to a pile of ash, and his massive horns fell to the ground. You wish to join with us. Very well. From this day on, you will serve Sekaloth. Today you have seen the price of failure in this service. Return to your people and march them on the elves. Break their city, and you will earn your freedom. With that, Bazcog was left with the few survivors of the forces once commanded by Kempek, and felt the weight of the Coatl's threat settle upon him. He had relied on the command of Kempek, and now suffered for that failing. Bazcog just hoped he would be able to survive long enough to rectify that error. All right, and yeah, this was a Saurian Ancients victory by surrender in the top of 3. Yeah, this was just bad for my opponent from beginning to end. This did illustrate for him the dangers of relying on frenzied troops. I don't usually bring this much chaff with my Saurus. It was kind of a different list I was testing out. So I was really able to take advantage of that. And everything went my way. I didn't have a single die roll that didn't go basically as I had planned it this entire game. So it was really a rough one for my opponent. I don't think his list was bad. I just think he needed a way to control his frenzied units a little better. Maybe a couple of small units of gargoyles to fly in and act as barriers for overruns and that sort of thing. I do have to say, though, that the Alpha Carnosaur is a beast, particularly with the Spear of the Stampede on him. Between him and that Taurosaur, they impact hit like crazy. And it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. But I like the list. If I take this to Southern Assault, if I take the Saurians to Southern Assault, I may play something similar to this. Although I don't know that this particular list has enough units in it. I may need more chaff. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but I was pretty happy with this, all things considered. I really am starting to like just having the druidic skink priest for magic instead of spending all the points on the Coatl. It's nice. I get some spells. Druidism is really great for what the lizardmen bring, or the Saurians bring. And I don't have to feel all that bad if things go wrong and he gets himself blown up, because he's really not that expensive. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it's a little shorter than normal, but that's kind of what happens when everything goes one player's way and not the others. So, last thing, I want to draw attention to my Patreon. I've been getting a good response from it. If anyone else would like to donate, the link will be in the description down below. I certainly appreciate it. Shout out to Peter Voss and Sylvanus Ironwood, my first 2 patrons. I really appreciate it, guys. And hope you guys enjoyed this one. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye, guys.